The following broadcast is a paid commercial program and does not reflect the views of the staff and management of Intercom Communications or WORD Radio.
Good morning, upstate South Carolina, and welcome to the Yard Pros by Carolina Fresh Farms. I tell you, we are absolutely delighted to be here in the studio, even though it's a little bit dreary this morning. I hope all survived the storms and the rain. I know my weather radio hit off several times last night. How about you guys?
Yeah, it was going off all the time, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Folks, we are, like I said earlier, we're delighted to be here in the studio. I'm Mills Grant with Carolina Fresh Farms. I am the resident horticulturist who travels all around the state of South Carolina, and we are a sod grower in the state of South Carolina. Been in business for a number of years, and we just can't express how excited we are to be here on the air each and every Saturday morning on WORD to bring to you a little bit of tips and information about your yard, your landscaping. Certainly, as always, we welcome your calls. I'll go ahead and give you those numbers now. If you're in Greenville, that's 232-WORD. That's 232-9673. Or in Spartanburg, you can call us at 574-WORD, 574-9673. We also have, for all you listeners early this morning, feel free to write down this address for our email. We'd love to take your answer or questions on email, whether it's today or anytime during the week, at theyardpros@yahoo.com. That's theyardpros@yahoo.com. So this first show, hopefully one of many, we have a couple of other yard pros. One by myself, I can't be it. So I would like to introduce to you Ryan Huff. Ryan is our manager of our Duncan location just outside of Greenville, Taylor's area, as you move into Spartanburg there on Highway 29. Ryan's been with the company for a number of years, has a lot of great experience, expertise in landscaping, all kind of neat things, right, Ryan?
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Yard Pros.
Thank you, Mills. Appreciate it. Glad to be here this morning. Yes, I've been with the company for about 16 years, and have been excited to be with them every day here. This is a new experience for me to be on the radio, so bear with me. Hopefully I won't stumble over myself too many times. But, yeah, there at the Duncan location, we have a pretty large location. It's probably one of the biggest ones with the company. We have a nice store, good retail area with chemicals and fertilizers. We keep a lot of sod in stock. We do have trailers there. One of the specialties of the company as the only store with the trailers, utility trailers, enclosed trailers. Then we have a new thing coming on this spring that hopefully here within the next few weeks we'll have ready for all our customers. We're putting in mulch and rock by the scoop and to have it palletized rock. So that's a work in progress right now. I have all the concrete bins getting erected and some grading going on. So have another couple weeks.
So what you're saying is you kind of have a little bit of everything.
We do have a little bit of everything.
You have the product at your lot that a customer could come in and purchase, and if their vehicle isn't large enough, you can sell them something to haul it home with,
We
right?
sure can, absolutely.
Okay. There you go. Hey, one thing that Ryan didn't mention that we have a lot of, and we actually have Scott Beard, who is our manager in the Anderson location, just outside of Easley there, the first exit in Anderson, I think, Scott, there at exit number 27, Highway 81 South, is one thing I'd like to say is Scott, you know, we may want to take this caller, but when we come back, we'll talk with Scott. And one thing I want to tell folks, if you're listening, is we really pride ourselves in knowledge in the landscape. Whether it's a problem with your lawn, a problem with shrubbery, we want to hear from you. We'd like to help you figure out what's going on in that yard or that landscape. We have a caller online. I believe Scott. Scott, would you like to take the caller, even though you haven't been on the air yet?
Sure, go ahead.
So we have Tom from the Spartanburg area.
Hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Doing well.
Morning.
Good morning to you.
Good.
What question do you have?
I got a Bermuda lawn here in Spartanburg.
Yes, sir.
And I'm getting already some grass growing. I don't know what kind it is, and some weeds. And my question, is it okay to spread Roundup early in the season to kill those kind of things? Would I damage the yard? Is that a good practice, or what do you recommend?
No, spraying Roundup on turf I would not recommend. It's not labeled for residential turf or to spray on there. You definitely want to go with some type of post-emergent. You said a Bermuda lawn?
Yes.
Yeah, something speed zone or something like that will take care of a lot of the broadleaf problems.
Okay.
What kind of weeds are they?
I'm not real sure. They look like, some small leaves on them, and there's some grass clumps coming up, and I don't know what kind of grass it is.
Most likely that grass clump problem is going to be Pollyanna, which is an annual bluegrass.
Okay.
Which is a big nuisance. Did you apply pre-emergent this past fall?
Yes.
You did. That right there could, pre-emergent lasts 3 months. With the temperature going back, really spring felt like it was in January.
Correct.
Yeah, Tom, this is Mills here. One thing, the second kind of the meat of our show today, we were going to talk a lot about the temperature and maybe the effects that we think that you're going to have in your landscape, not only your lawn but also your plants and shrubs.
Okay.
And, as we move to summer, one thing I'd like to say, the whole Roundup question, yes, that is common practice, especially on the golf course sector. However, they use a much lower rate. Those guys, professionals, have figured it out over the years. They tank mix that with a pre-emergent herbicide, but they normally go out into January 1st to February. I can tell you from experience dealing with a lot of golf course professionals in our local upstate market, a lot of those guys elected not to spray this year because the Bermuda never went fully dormant. It still had a little bit of green, and that Roundup translocates through the plant from that green leaf tissue. So to answer your question, I would be very hesitant to spray any type of broadleaf killer such as, a non-specific herbicide such as Roundup on any type of lawn right now, banking on that it's dormant, because it's probably not. And it could lead to some problems. So what I would suggest is, and I mentioned it early in the show, the Yard Pros at yahoo.com. Take a few pictures of those weeds, email them to us, and if we have time on the air, we take a look and think that we need to give you some more information, we'll try to mention it. If not, we'll certainly reply to you in the email by the first of the week and give you some more specific ideas of what you might be able to do now, but also in the future to keep that yard a little healthier. And, Tom, I appreciate you calling in. You are officially our first caller here at the Yard Pros by Carolina Fresh Farms. And you found us at, I guess you called us on the Spartanburg number, 574-9673, correct?
That's correct. Uh-huh.
Wonderful. Well, we congratulate you on being our first caller. So I suggest you email Ryan at the Yard Pros at yahoo.com and say, Ryan, I was the first caller, so I think maybe you should give me, what do you think, a slab of Bermuda sod free. What do you think?
Let's give him a little bit more than that now. Come on.
Or some exotic weeds might be good.
That's right.
Well, that's called job security. We give you exotic weeds, and I get to keep providing you with herbicide to take care of them.
Yeah, whatever it takes, yeah.
Tom, hey, listen, we got other people on the line. We appreciate your call, and certainly give us a call some other time in another show.
Okay, sounds great. I appreciate your help.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Wow, board's already lighting up, fellas. I'm kind of excited. If you would, give us a call. We'd like to see it light up even more. If you're in Greenville at 232-WORD, that's 232-9673, or in Spartanburg at 574-WORD, 574-9673. So, Scott, how was it, your debut in radio, and you took a caller?
Oh, yeah, that's not a problem. I was like a born natural.
Yeah, you're just wonderful at this, aren't you? So, Ryan, we got, I think Terry's on hold. What you say? Let's pull him up.
All
Duncan
right.
and Weeds. I see a theme here. What do you think?
All right, I see it. Good morning.
Hey, guys, how you doing? Terry here. Duncan.
Doing well. This is Ryan. How can we help you?
Hey, I got some of the same problem that the guy had that was just on the phone. I've got a centipede lawn, and I've got some of that poa grass coming up here and there, and this is the first year in years of my centipede lawn that I did not have the opportunity to put down the pre-emergent. But I've got some of the poa up, and I've got this stringy weed flower that has a purple flower, and when it's fully grown, it's probably 4 or 5 inches tall, and you see it in a lot of the southern lawns. And then I've got another weed that will have a plant that's probably about 2 inches in diameter, and it'll have one very tall, thin flower that is a little teeny white flower, but they tend to grow in a mass. And I live on a golf course, and I've seen these guys put down what appears to be a bluish-green chemical over some of these weeds in a spot fashion. I know from previous years that I can't put anything like Roundup or any kind of a killer on my centipede grass because that grass is green, and it'll be dead once springtime comes. Is there anything I can do with the stuff that is already up, like Scott's Turf Builder Plus, that kind of gets those? But I don't want to fertilize the grass. I think it's a little too early.
Absolutely. It definitely is too early to fertilize the grass. First thing I'd say is with a centipede lawn, more so than a Bermuda or a zoysia lawn, during transition, you don't want to be spraying a herbicide, which is the post-emergent, to be killing all of those noxious weeds that are just destroying your beautiful centipede lawn there and making it not look as nice with it just being pure dormant. You don't want to spray during transition, and unfortunately, with as warm as it's been, you're probably seeing that centipede having some green in it.
Yep.
And centipede is a little bit more temperamental than the Bermuda or the zoysia, so you definitely don't want to do that. But again, like we were just explaining to the other gentleman, just a post-emergent broadleaf weed as the Speed Zone or Vessel. But always we want to make sure we look at the label, because some herbicides can't go in certain grasses. Unfortunately, like you said, you did miss the pre-emergent, and that probably would have kept a lot of that out of there. So pre-emergent is a definite for these yards. But we can definitely take care of you with some of those chemicals there at the office. And
the good thing is, Terry, is I believe the warm temperatures are right around the corner. We've been heading in a huge warm-up trend the last week or so. I think that's going to continue. And those weeds, when we reach 80, 85 degrees, are certainly going to check out very quickly in the lawn.
Yep.
So, being with centipede, much like Ryan said, in transition, I think you're really just asking for too many risks and potential problems by spraying a herbicide.
I'll just go ahead and cut it down really short, because that'll be safe.
That's what I would do. Terry, we appreciate your call this morning.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you. So, folks, that brings us to the end. I know, Ray, I got you holding. I certainly would like to hope you hold on for this quick break. We're going to take a quick break, folks. If you would, give us a call this morning, 232-WORD. That's 232-9673 in Greenville or 574-9673 in Spartanburg.
And, Terry, if you had any more questions, I know we had to go real quick to a break, just email us at theyardpros@yahoo.com.
Welcome back to the Yard Pros by Carolina Fresh Farms. Before the break, if you weren't listening, if you just tuned in, we're actually launching a new show and format today. We're actually sod growers here in the upstate of South Carolina. Well, we produce it actually in the lower part of the state. We have 2 retail stores on either side of Greenville County, and we're delighted to be here, not only today, but we'll be here every Saturday until someone kicks me out of this chair, I guess, from 10 to 11. So we look forward to your questions in the future. If you'd like to reach us this morning, feel free at 232-9673 in Greenville or in Spartanburg at 574-9673. And as always, you can email us at theyardpros@yahoo.com. So, I was trying to introduce Scott, and all of a sudden we got a lot of phone calls. I guess if you ask, they will come. Is that not right?
Yeah, we got them already quick. That was good.
So we're delighted. We appreciate the calls we already had this morning. We were talking a little bit with Scott Beard in the Anderson location. And Scott, I want to pick up Ray, but remind me when we come back, because he's been on hold since the break. But when we come back, let's make sure we talk a little bit about what you have to offer that's different than Ryan over in the Duncan area of the
Sounds
state.
Good.
So, Ray, good morning. Welcome to the Yard Pros. Can we help you with something?
Well, good morning, and I'm sure you're going to be in that chair for a long time. It's a great show from what I've caught of it so far.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. But I've got a patch of zoysia grass in the yard. Some people like it. This is one person that doesn't. Your lawnmower bogs down. It takes over. It smothers everything out. So how do I go about getting rid of it? Should I try now or later? And then after whatever steps I go through, bringing fescue back.
Okay, so basically, Ray, you've got some zoysia and you want to remove it from the lawn and put some fescue in its place, correct? Ray, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Right. Still there?
Oh, yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I got you. Ray. So you've got a patch of zoysia you're trying to eradicate from the lawn?
Right.
Okay. What I would suggest is, using that product we talked about earlier in the show about Roundup. Hey, it's a great product. And trust me, it is an extremely, extremely safe product. Even safe in our waterways. You can spray it directly as a label for waterway usage because it's not toxic to aquaculture. But you can use that product to eradicate that zoysia, and that's really going to help that root system release from the soil, and then maybe rent a small sod cutter and harvest it off so that you can get it out, and then you can go back in. This time of year, you're really forced you're really not going to have much success seeding fescue, in my opinion. I think you're forced sodding fescue. The bad thing is you really can't get the zoysia out until it greens enough to spray it with Roundup so that it will translocate into that root system. Roundup is a neat product in that it only translocates through the leaves of the plant. So if you have, a shrub area, don't worry about it getting on the soil and penetrating the soil and going up through the plant that way. It won't happen. But, you're probably going to be in that May time frame before you can really do this. Spray it once, I think we'll be fine, and then harvest that area out of there. And then once it's, like I said, you can come in there and resod it.
Okay, I'm jotting all this down while you've been talking. Well, listen, I appreciate the information. Said it'll be about May, and it's just an ugly yellow patch out there in the middle of semi-green stuff. I've seen it. It looks like mud on a white horse.
Exactly. Well, if you have any more questions, feel free to shoot us an email at theyardpros@yahoo.com, and we'll be glad to help you further. Okay.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, Scott, real quickly, and we'll try to get to another caller here, but I think you offer a lot of other things, and I'm really alluding to your garden center. What's going on there? You about ready to get some plants in?
Yes. Plants should be rolling in here probably next week or the week after. We're trying to hold back. If it ever did get cold, and everybody didn't jump the gun and start planting a whole lot earlier.
Well, exactly, and I understand that. I tell you one thing I really liked at Scott's store last year. Scott found a really good supplier of some organic vegetable and herb plants, and I hope you got plans to bring those in again this year.
Oh, yes, most definitely. No, we'll definitely
I
bring
think that's
those
something a lot of us are interested in the community is growing a little vegetable garden and having that neat, taste it fresh. So, boy, I tell you, these boards are still lighting up. If you'd like to give us a call this morning, 232-9673 in Greenville or 574-9673 in Spartanburg. We actually have room for one caller if they'd like to call, and we've had Shannon on hold for a few minutes. Has a question about tomato plants. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. Yes, sir. I have one friend that's planting tomato plants around March, April, and I have another gentleman, that's another friend of ours, that puts it in January. The one that plants it in January has no problems ever, and I wonder how he's growing his tomato plants so early in the season as far as January is concerned. The guy who plants them in March, he has a good chance of it too. His grows pretty good size.
Yeah, Shannon.
As far as January.
Shannon, I think he's probably using something over the top in January on cold nights to protect them from frost. And he's probably tending them with some type of plastic so that he gets a little heating during the day and help hold that heat at night. So more than likely that's what he's doing. And tomatoes. It's, I never plant that early, to be honest with you. I've always looked at Easter. I remember about 6 years ago, we had a hard freeze Easter weekend, and since that date, I've always said, I'm going to plant the weekend after Easter, and I think if you go out there with the right mindset, you build that soil properly, you can be just as successful planting it a little bit later in the year as you do earlier in the year. So,
I agree.
Well, Shannon, we appreciate your call this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, guys, boy, this is rolling by pretty quick. We got who we got on hold there, Ryan?
We've got line 2 there. We've got Tamara. Hey, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. How about yourself?
I listen to your show. Love you. You're not going to be cut off.
Well, wonderful. Thank you.
I will make sure of that.
Well, we still got a job. Good.
Yes.
I need one, too. But anyway, I moved back to South Carolina after being in Memphis, Tennessee a long time ago. I am in a cottage down by Kareem Stadium. The house was nurtured in 1969. Family home. I finally just came back to it, and, well, not a family home, but a home that I grew up with in 2 years. I have a bunch of moss. I have roots that are coming out the tree. I mean, it's just coming out the ground. I can't grow grass. And what else did I write down? Ivy. It's like the ivy is killing everything. Plus it comes through my house, in my vent. So how do you deal with a yard that has a little bit of red clay and on one side, and you just can't grow grass and the roots? What's the rest?
Well, Tamara, you got sounds like an old, beautiful, old, almost historic home. Sounds like, from what I understood, was Serene in that area, kind of the older section of Greenville.
Yes.
And I can imagine that's probably from an old water oak tree that's probably 100 years old or maybe even more.
We're not talking about just one. We're talking about 5.
Exactly. And I tell you, Tamara, it's a tough thing. You really got to figure out how you can learn to live with those trees. Certainly a tree that old, we want to make sure that they're. I think if you get away from the trunk of the tree out into kind of the edge of the canopy, you're probably going to see that there are fewer roots at the surface there. You can bring some topsoil in that situation, but you need to be aware that if you do feel, and everyone listening, if you feel too much soil around the trunk of a tree, it has to breathe just like you and I. And if you fill it too high or backfill it too high above its normal grade and where it likes to, where it's happy, that could be a major issue.
I do love the trees.
Yeah,
I love trees.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the existence of the neighborhood.
Yep.
Let me ask you this about the ivy that's growing on the tree, going up on the tree.
Best way to handle that, Tamara, is, and there may be some people that disagree with me, the good old-fashioned way is cut that ivy off about head high along that tree. Be careful not to cut into the bark. And trim that ivy, let it die naturally, and then you can pull those pieces above. And I like seeing that little bit of ivy on that first 2 foot of trunk. I think it's pretty. It adds to the landscape.
Gives it character.
And then you can keep it trimmed. I would stay away from herbicides in that situation. They're too volatile. The stomates of those trees, if they open up, if that chemical volatilizes. I've seen some beautiful trees across the state killed because people are using the herbicides in an incorrect manner. So,
and I do love it.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tamara. We appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye. Folks, you've been listening to the Yard Pros. We're getting ready to take our bottom of the hour hard break, and feel free to call us at 232-9673 in Greenville or 574-9673 in Spartanburg, and we will return here in a few minutes. Any parting words, guys?
Yes, we just really appreciate being here. And please email us at theyardpros@yahoo.com. Hey, welcome back. Glad to have you here. We sure appreciate all the calls and the emails. Remember to please give us a call at 232-WORD, 232-9673 in Greenville. Or if you're in Spartanburg, down by my store in Duncan, call us at 574-WORD, 574-9673. Or as always, theyardpros@yahoo.com. There
you go. Hey, guys, I just can't tell you. This is Mills here, and I am absolutely delighted, tickled pink, and just jacked to be back in a radio studio. I had forgotten how much fun this is. And, it's great. It's fun to share some information with all the callers we've had. You'll certainly look forward to some more callers. Right now we got one on hold. We got Fran from Pelzer, and Fran's down in Scott's neck of the woods. So I think we might let Scott, I'll welcome you and say thank you for holding, Fran, but we're going to let Scott try to answer your question. How about that?
Okay. Well, I have some lawn grass that has decided it wants to go in my garden. It also went out in the goat pasture, and the goats won't eat it. So I need to get rid of that lawn grass. I'm thinking it might be centipede because it puts out real long runners. And, if you try to pull it up, the runners are like,
way underneath the ground.
Right.
Yep. Most likely that's Common Bermuda. And I've got the same problem in my garden. And actually, I haven't had a garden in my yard in actually 3 years. I put everything on the deck on containers. Just because the Common Bermuda is such a nuisance to have in a garden. And actually, I've got a Bermuda lawn. So really, it's a nightmare with the Common Bermuda because it does run so fast. There are a lot of pulling, a lot of weeds. I mean, a lot of hoeing to get that stuff out. But Mills and I were talking about it a little while ago. There is some chemicals out there. On the top of my head, I don't know what it is. That's labeled for to kill Common Bermuda.
Yeah, one of them, Fran, might be, and Scott may be Vantage. And I'm not gonna when I get done with your call, Fran, I'm gonna put you on hold and let you go back to Angela. Maybe she can get your information, and Scott will contact you later this week. We'll do a little research for you. But one thing I like to say is cultural practices for people listening, I think, are key in controlling this. And always remember that lawn grasses don't want to grow good in your lawn, but they grow good in other areas. So maybe, Fran, you should just take your garden and turn it into the lawn and turn your lawn into the garden. What do you think about that?
No, I don't think so. I put too much work and money into building up my garden.
Yeah, Fran, stay on the line. We'll definitely want to get your phone number because I'd like to find that out myself, and I'll definitely get back in touch with you and we'll find out take care of that problem.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so, Scott, we were talking a little bit about what we were thinking. You know, you're getting ready for plants, and I heard you make a comment. Said something about, well, you know, I've just been a little hesitant, even though it's warm. The weather's been nice. It's been unseasonably warm this winter.
Yeah, very.
You're a little hesitant to bring that in because we want to see people making the right decisions.
Right. Don't want everybody jumping the gun.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, and that's one thing. You know, we've got one on hold, and I'm going to get to you in just 1 second here, Ray. But before we take Ray, one thing when we get off or done with the caller, and we come back, we may talk a little bit about kind of some things I've seen this winter so far that I think are going to lead to some bigger issues for all of us in our lawns and landscapes as we move through spring and summer. So right now, Ryan, looks like we got somebody up there in Duncan. That's your neck of the woods,
That's
isn't it?
right, it is. Ray, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I'm almost in Duncan. I'm actually in the Shenandoah 2 subdivision.
Sure, over there off Regal, right?
Here's what I got. Basically, a year ago, I bought some grass killer, and I killed off everything because I had 5 types of grasses growing in the whole yard. They're all mixed in. I was tired of mowing it, and some of it would be very, very thick grass. Some of it would be like golf green grass, and it was just a mess. So what I did is I bought a whole bunch of Roundup, or the alternative to it, the commercial grade, and I killed everything off where everything was dead. And what happened was, throughout the year, because of a lot of rain, it washed off a lot of that dirt. So,
right.
I got about maybe 4 inches between the actual soil and my driveway now.
Okay.
That's how low it is. So,
sure.
What I wanted to do is I want to find the best type of grass that's going to be green all year long. I don't know anything about grasses. I also want to know, what do I do with the soil right now? Parts of it got some weeds coming up. Parts of it is completely naked. So how do I get rid of the actual grass that's still creeping through the ground right now? And then what do I do to even it out with the driveway? Do I bring in topsoil, and then if I do, what do I do before I bring in the topsoil?
Sure, those are all great questions. First is, yes, you definitely are going to have to be bringing in topsoil to raise the grade back up to be near your driveway. If not, you're going to have problems. But
right.
A question for you is your yard in the sun? Do you have shade? Because that takes to what kind of grass you have.
Right. What happens is the way my yard is, it's sunny in the back in the morning, and then mostly sunny in the front.
Okay.
In other words, kind of like in the afternoon, sun is mostly in the front of the yard, and then towards the morning, it's in the back of the yard. So I would say throughout the whole day, it's sunny.
Okay. All right. Do you have many trees that are going to filter out some sunlight or what?
No, not in the front yard. No, it's basically just trees on the sides between the neighbors, but everything else is pretty much open.
All right. Well, that almost rules out. The one thing you did mention is you wanted green grass all year round. The only grass that is green all year round is fescue. The only time it's really not very green is during the summer when it's 100 degrees outside and and stressing it out. But for the majority of it, it's considered the green grass all year. The other grasses are considered warm season grasses, and that's your Bermuda, zoysia, St. Augustine, and centipede. But they go dormant during the winter months when we have the frost. And that's kind of a thing you're going to have to deal with is either the fescue doesn't like the full sun, so that's a little bit of a problem where you're saying you have a lot of sun there, but it can be managed. Maybe you have to lessen your expectations of the green grass all year and go with more of a warm season grass that likes the sun.
And what's a good grass that can withstand a lot of traffic, like the sun, and then just minimal maintenance, I would say?
Well, okay, now you're starting to make it.
Zoysia.
You're going to make it easy there on that.
No doubt about it. Zoysia grass, Ray, is the hottest topic, I think, in the last 2 years, especially across our transitional zone. Extremely drought tolerant, extremely durable. There are a lot of varieties, and in coming weeks, that's one of the things and one of the reasons and purpose of this show is to let consumers out there know that, hey, there are other ways to combat issues within the lawn and landscape that make us all better stewards of the environment and more conducive to our lifestyles. I mean, man, we're too busy. We don't want to be tied down in the yard every weekend.
Of course, right?
We got better things to do. So, and Ray, I hate to sound redundant. A lot of it is just like I've told callers in the past, to send us an email at theyardpros@yahoo.com. You can visit our website, CarolinaFreshFarms.com, easy enough to remember.
Okay.
And find that local store to you and come out. I mean, both of the stores, Ryan and Scott, have done a good job at having some displays of each grass variety out there.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And working hand in hand, face to face, talking about your concerns in the lawn. Emails are great, but I think a lot of times business is best done face to face.
Right, and can I also, take pictures of the yard and show some areas?
Sure. Take pictures and email them to us.
That's the way to do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Before I bring in the topsoil, how do I kill off the creeping weeds, or should I even worry about them?
I would worry about them. If you're changing that sod or that grass variety in the lawn, we want you to start from fresh ground. It's a simple product. We've mentioned it 4 times already today, probably 8 times next Saturday. It's Roundup. And maybe next Saturday I'll talk a little more about some specifics and the chemistry behind Roundup and why it is such a safe product.
Okay.
But you want to clean it up. And you mentioned bringing in that topsoil. One thing we want to do is free soil samples. We do those through our store. We actually send them to a nice independent lab. So make sure you get a soil sample.
A soil sample of my soil I currently have?
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
And the last question, what is the best time of year right now for that zoysia grass?
Sure. Well, if you're going to be doing the seeding, you would have to wait until May till we get some good soil temperatures. Sodding, you could go ahead and put it out now, but to combat that erosion that you're having. But definitely, if you're going to seed, you do have to wait until May until we get some warmer soil temperatures.
I gotcha. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much.
Hey, Ray, thank you very much. Appreciate you calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, we sure are enjoying everybody calling us. And from Greenville, call us at 232-WORD. That's 232-9673. Or in Spartanburg, call us at 574-WORD. That's 574-9673. Or, Scott, what is that email address?
Yardpros@yahoo.com.
TheYardPros@yahoo.com. Hey, guys, one thing we hadn't mentioned, we have had a busy week. At least I've had it. I know you guys hadn't, but I've had an extremely busy week.
Boy, oh, boy.
These guys give me a hard time, folks. They don't see me till later in the morning. I'm normally busy on the phone in the morning, all that good stuff. I think they think I only come into work at about 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
10.
Yeah,
but
anyway,
banker's hour. Folks, we're at the Southern Living Home and Garden Show, as always, this week, booth number 321. And that's this weekend. I believe it runs to 8 tonight and tomorrow from 1 to 6.
1 to 6.
At the TD Convention Center. Would love to have you come by the booth. It's a rainy day. You really can't get out and work in the yard. A little too wet. It looks like we got a lot of rain. So we'd love to have you come by. Tonight at 7, myself, Mills, I will be on stage tonight. And for a little seminar, A Yard for All Seasons is my topic, fellas. Not sure what I'm going to do yet. I still have to make that PowerPoint presentation.
Wow.
But we will be at the home show. Would love to see you come out. And I'm getting notes passed to me. I got 2 new guys in the studio, and all of a sudden they just think they're like, we know this better than you.
That's right.
So Ryan, you said there's something we need to do now.
Well, I think we're supposed to be taking a break.
Angela, is that right? She just threw up her hands and said, I guess so. So, yes, folks, we're going to take a quick break. If you're on hold, please hold on. We'll get to you as soon as we come back from the break. Give us a call, 232-9673 in Greenville or 574-9673 in Spartanburg. Welcome back. You're tuned in to the Yard Pros by Carolina Fresh Farms. We are... Boy, I guess now we're one of the oldest sod producers in the state of South Carolina, fellas.
Probably so.
Yep. Been producing sod for nearly 30 years in this great state, maybe a little bit longer. We actually have 6 retail stores in the state. 2 of them fall here in the upstate. hence the show, The Yard Pros. And we welcome your calls at 232-9673 in Greenville or 574-9673 in Spartanburg. And as always, you can reach us at theyardpros@yahoo.com, especially during the week. We're going to move on. We got so many callers today. I tell you, I'm delighted.
I really am.
This has been fun. We're going to take a call from Greer now. We got Kevin on the line. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Wonderful.
Good. I actually thought of another question while I was on hold. I've got a problem. I've got sweet gum trees on my side yard,
yes,
and I can't get nothing to grow underneath those sweet gums. Plus I guess it's the seed pods they drop are just absolutely covering my yard. Is there any way to slow that down? And what would be an additive or something to be able to get something to grow under there?
It's a little process. It's called Husqvarna Steel. It's a combination word. Husqvarna Steel. Husqvarna Steel. Say it real quick. Crank it up, cut it down. If you can't remove the stump, I'm sure someone like Schneider Tree Care would be glad to for you. So, you know, Kevin, I've had this question a lot over the years, being a horticultural graduate from Clemson University back in, of course, a lot of people say I'm young, back in '97, but I feel a lot older than that.
Right.
Of course, Ryan's sticking his finger in his mouth. He's not a USC grad, but he's Furman grad. Yeah,
that's right,
yeah,
Furman.
As well as another guest here today. But I would say, Kevin, there's really nothing out there that you can slow the production, the seeding production of that tree. Yeah, the best thing you can do to be more successful, in my opinion, of growing some grass underneath that tree is to limb that canopy as high as you possibly can. And try to get that canopy up really high. That one gives us more sunlight. Two gives us more air movement in that area. And air movement is just as crucial as sunlight. And you need to look at that area. It may be on the side of the house. You mentioned it where the house is blocking one side. You got a tree line on the other. It may just be an area that's not conducive to plant grass and have it grow and thrive. So you're kind of in a tough situation. So Husqvarna Steel, that's what I say.
That's right.
Just remember that combination word. So
that was my idea, but the wife don't like it. So.
Exactly. Well, tell her you replace it with a cherry tree or something like that. You know.
Yeah. I got it's far enough away from the house because I've got either Bermuda or centipede. I don't know. I bought the house and I'm not sure how to tell them apart. But I didn't know whether fescue would grow under it with the shaded or. Because it's kind of off to the far side. It's not like it.
Fescue's going to be your best option in a shaded area, hands down. I mean, there's some new varieties out there. One of them is Diamond Zoysia. Great grass. But I think the price sometimes kind of holds people back on it. It's a very expensive grass. And it is a little bit harder to maintain compared to something like fescue. So, you know, yes, fescue's probably in that situation what you describe is going to be the best. One thing I tell you, Kevin, is make sure you email us. Take some pictures when we get a little sunlight later today. Theyardpros@yahoo.com. Take 2 close-ups, one of each grass that you're trying to identify, and we'll try our best to identify it from a picture. If we can't, we'll see how we can make other arrangements to make sure we positively identify your lawn.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. We appreciate you calling.
Yeah, y'all have a great day.
You too. So, guys, we've got one that's been on hold for a while, Rebecca, in the Lyman area. So, good morning, Rebecca.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
What can we do for you today?
Okay, so my sister is getting married, and I just got a house, and they're wondering what kind of lawn that y'all recommend most for a very sunny yard.
Well, very sunny would make it real easy. You've got a choice of pretty much any of the warm season grasses other than the St. Augustine. It's a little temperamental up here with the cold. My 2 favorites for that area would be Bermuda or Zoysia. Zoysia being my number 1 favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of different things, I think, in your situation, Rebecca. You have to ask yourself, what am I going to do with this lawn? How long am I going to be here in this house? You know, earlier I think the guys from the real estate show were on the air, and they talk about investments. I don't know if it was earlier, but sometime I've heard it. And choosing that lawn to me is like an investment. If you're going to be in that home long term, you may want to invest that 20 to 25% more cost incurred by buying something like Zoysia. If you're only going to be in the house for a year and you're going to flip it, or it's your starter home and you think you're moving on to a bigger home, then certainly, find a suitable grass, but maybe conserve some money. Maybe it's centipede, in your neck of the woods. That would also be a suitable lawn that's easy to maintain, especially for a first-time homeowner, new couple. So there are a lot of options. I think it just comes down to personal taste, what grows in that lawn best, and budget.
Sure, absolutely. And also, if you want to, either you or your sister could come over to my store there on 29 there in Duncan, and I've got sod samples that you would be able to take your shoes off, walk around in, feel how it is. Come on over there to 12505 East Wade Hampton Boulevard in Duncan. That's right at the top of the hill at the Lyman Duncan Town line across from the post office.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you, Rebecca.
All right.
Moving on, we have...
I think we have Mark over there in
Mark,
Belton.
you still holding on?
Mark's still in Belton. So we're going to take Mark now. I tell you, we appreciate the phone calls today. Mark, you're on the air with the Yard Pros.
How you doing?
Wonderful.
Well, me and my wife had got a property that we had sort of had, it had fallen into disrepute, to quote Popeye, and then we sort of fixed it up. But I was just wondering, and she's talking about wanting grass on it. It's never had a lot of grass because it was growed over. I had a lot of vines and thorns and some of them silver belly. Anyhow, what would be, if I was to want to redo the whole thing, what would be the process that would make the most sense?
How many square feet are you looking at, Mark?
It's about, the whole thing is about 1.3 something acres. But it's got trees around the peripheral, pretty much around the whole peripheral. It's like a big square kind of thing, like a, odd-sided square, but it's more or less square.
And listen, you're right, you're in Belton?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we're getting ready to go off the air here in a few, but I'll tell you what, if you would email me your address, that's at theyardpros.com.
Yeah.
And I could be glad to come out there one day this coming week and take a look at that with you.
Okay. And all, because we don't know what kind of grass to plant or all, but she's never had the yard like she wants it, and she's wanting to sort of...
Yeah, we can come out there. But
Mark, Scott's store is located at 3620 Highway 81 North there in Anderson, so he's not that far from you, and I think it would be certainly perfect if maybe you give him a call even at his store. His store number is 224-4500, or you can find it at carolinafreshfarms.com online, and get in touch with Scott, and Scott would be glad to come out and take a look at your yard, Mark, and give you some ideas. That might be a better way to handle that.
Okay, because I was thinking about doing some plowing. I getting the tractor going, and I was just going to ask. Really, more or less, the big question was preparatory work. What would be how deep to set the plows and this, that, and the other.
All right, well, no problem. I tell you what, we're going to put you on hold, and we have another caller on hold, and that way we can go ahead and finish up, and that way we can answer your questions.
All right. Listen, folks, we really appreciate you calling in today. We're down to the wire. Phil, we're going to leave you on hold and get your information from Angela there in the studio as well as Mark so that we can follow up, maybe give you a call here shortly on the way to the Southern Living Home and Garden Show. Come out and see us today at the booth at the TD Convention Center. And you can find us at booth number 321. I also want to remind you, folks, you've tuned in to WORD from 10 to 11 this morning, and maybe you just tuned in the last minute. This is going to be an ongoing thing. I tell you, it has been an absolute delight today. Scott, what's your thoughts?
Loved it. It was a great experience.
Had a great experience. In the future, maybe coming next week, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of calls here in the studio. And we continue to grow and maybe give you a little more information about sod varieties, hot topics that week, things that are going on in the lawn, particularly in that time of the year. And as always, Scott, where can they find us?
At The Yard Pros at yahoo.com.
That's right. Or carolinafreshfarms.com is certainly a good way to find the location closest to you here in the upstate or anywhere in the state. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're tuned in, you're streaming us online. Feel free. We have stores all over the state. Hopefully in the future we can get a few of those other store managers up and going on a Saturday. They think it's really early. 10 o'clock's kind of late. I did this years ago bright and early in the morning. So
that's right. We'll get them to call in, tell us what's going on in their end of the state.
Exactly. Guys, it has been, like I said, I can't reiterate it. It has been so much fun. I am so excited to be back on the air. and really looking for great things in the future. Continue to send us emails at theyardpros@yahoo.com.